Hi guys, great to be back. I'm Adila.
I'm Shen.
And you are listening to Kena Booked. So if you don't get the joke, we are trying out different names for our book club. So that's why it's called Kena Booked today.
Yes, and we also want to thank Serene who gave this amazing suggestion for our book club. So thank you for influencing our introduction over here. Hope you are listening to this episode.
Thanks. So this is our third episode for this book club initiative. So other than supportive feedback, we also do get some constructive ones.
Yeah.
We acknowledge them.
I mean, it's a new concept anyway.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Thanks to you guys who actually went out of your way to borrow the book and then start reading alongside with us. But I guess other than that, you do have some feedback on not being able to link certain topics from the book. Okay, how does this go back to UX? How does this relate back to UX? How does it make sense for me as a designer?
How can I apply it?
Yeah, how I can apply it. So just to give my own 2 cents, our honest thoughts about doing this, it's a very new concept for us as well. When Xuan suggested this idea, I thought, hey, why not? It's a good accountability project as well, so that you finish a book.
We ourselves also want to read more books.
Yeah, precisely. And then we feel that we don't want to end up sounding like an audiobook instead. So we were trying our best to also paraphrase certain things. But I guess some of the concepts are a bit hard to understand. I myself actually struggled the first 2 chapters.
Same over here. Yeah, I think it's almost like you just open a door into a new world, and like you're just very overwhelmed with everything. So you're just getting into it lah. But also rest assured, because of this, the next few episodes will probably be more clearer and more crisper.
Yes, correct.
So again, I think the best experience as a listener is really that you have this book, you read it first, because that was our intention, right? We wish that listeners will do the same with us, which is you read through the chapters first, then you listen to our episodes as almost like a recap or like a post-read discussion with a friend.
Yeah, let's dive into chapter 5 and 6. Yeah.
Right, so chapter 5 is on designing interaction, which is the third bubble. If you listen to our previous episodes, or if you have read chapters 1 and 2, you probably would have remembered this author brought up this Simon project that she worked on.
The one with the ears, right?
When we talked about like how the ears have no mechanical function, but it's just there for social cues. Yeah. So this Simon project is kind of being brought back the beginning of chapter 5, where the author, she kind of recalled the moment that she interacted with the Simon project. And she's kind of lost in the moment where she realized that the robot is actually like looking at her in the eyes and also interacting with her almost like you're interacting with a human being.
Like the robot gets you. Like the title lah, basically. Yeah, correct.
Now we know. To her, she was saying that it triggers this very powerful feeling of connection. Like
what was the exact example that she gave? I remember it's more of she gave Simon a green item, right? And then she didn't tell Simon what is it for. And then Simon eventually recognized it as this is for the recycling bin. While looking at her.
Something like that. Like where is this object?
Meant
for?
To be. Yes.
Yeah.
And because of that, she felt like, hey, I didn't even tell further instructions to this robot, but this robot actually really gets what I want.
Yeah, it's also this subtle movements that the robot make. Like when you're talking to the robot, then it's having like this subtle feedback, like nodding or shaking of its head lah. So all this just make you kind of lost in the moment. You forgot that you're actually just interacting with a object that is coded by someone. You know, it even reminds me of going to like Disneyland. Then you have this animatronics.
Yeah.
You also kind of get lost in the moment. They also want you to get lost in the moment because it's so immersive. Maybe you walk past the avatar section. Yeah, then all these avatar, I mean, like, they are definitely fake, right? Inside there are like these metallic bits of them being put together, right? But you don't think of that when you're actually interacting with them. Yeah, you really feel like, oh my god, they are talking to me. Like, I remember one of the avatar, he just kind of reached out to you because he saw you. Yeah, then I got shocked and I was like, oh my god,
he's gonna take me.
Yeah. So all these are actually coded, you know.
So basically, the author also mentioned the feeling of connection without having to learn the code of using the interface is an ideal golden standard for what interaction should feel like.
Yes.
Yeah, going back to our example of maybe the toaster oven, it makes sense for the interface to be just one button that you press down. So you just know, okay, let me put in my bread, I press it down, and then it should be heated up. Then once it goes up, means it's ready. To be taken. Yeah. So for me, whenever I use a product, right, I would test to see how intuitive the interface feels to use. I try to resist having to read the manual because partly I'm lazy.
Right.
Because you just bought the product and then you are excited to use it.
Yes.
So I just press it straight away, like just fiddle around with the button and try to see, maybe if do I press this? Does it turn on? Do I need to press twice? Does it then turn off? Yeah. Basically, I'm trying to tap on my own knowledge domain of how a product might work lah, right? But then sometimes it's good. Like most Apple products are quite common sense, which is a good thing.
Intuitive.
Intuitive. But sometimes I end up having to still refer to the manual eventually. Then in that moment, then I will make this like mental note. This product is not intuitive.
Yes. And when you have to watch YouTube or Google how to use it or read the manual, right, it breaks the moment. Already
precisely.
It's like, wow, sian.
I have to Google, okay, what was the brand name again? What was I trying to do? Then you try to see, no, it's not what I wanted to do. Then
YouTube videos still need to watch the ads first.
Yes, then you're so eager to try, then you have to skip certain parts. You're like, hello, welcome to this intro video.
I'm not interested in your introduction. Okay.
Precisely. I just don't know how to use it.
Yes. Yeah.
If we want to circle back to how would it apply for us designers, I guess in a sense you want to think about what are the domain knowledge of your target user using your product. Does your product is really similar to something that is already out there? Can they tap on that domain knowledge? Then you just build up on it, or is your product totally something new, something innovative, so out of this world that they need to relearn a new concept? I guess that's how it applies to us designers lah.
I guess there's also one advice that people always give, is like, you just try it on your parents. You know, like if your parents get it, then most likely
it's simple enough.
Intuitive enough for everyone else to use it as well.
That's a good tip. So basically, the author also mentioned what she defines as interaction is the back and forth that people have with products. So there's definitely going to be an input and output. So the input can be coming from the person, and then the output is coming from the product. This is built on the presence that we have in our framework, the first circle, and also the capacity to express messages.
Actually, I like this part because she kind of bring it back to the previous chapters. Like, we learned presence, we learned expression, then how does interaction kind of wrap that two of the circles that we have learned.
So interaction is helpful to product because it helps the product to make decision based on sensing and inferring.
Yes, and this sensing and inferring is made possible through a collection of rule-based transaction between a person and device.
I think these rules are determined by the designer, correct?
I think it's a close collaboration between designer and the engineer. So it's like the if this then that. Like
correct.
if sense human coming to me, then I wave. That kind lah. Or like if sense human walking past me, then I infer that human is not interested in interacting.
So I should move away.
So I idle. Something like that lah. So that's that programming rule.
She brought an example about a rider and a horse. I a bit don't get it.
I think why she brought up this example of rider and a horse is basically the horse is almost like the product that we're designing. Then the rider is us lah. Have you seen like someone riding on a horse? Yeah. Or if anyone plays Zelda, there's also riding on a horse, right? And then you can loosen or tighten the reins.
Okay.
So when you loosen, right, you are giving this signal to the horse to go slow.
Okay.
Then when you tighten, then the horse will like, in some movies.
So when you tighten, basically you are pulling on the face of the horse.
Each like usually is on their mouth. You are giving them this physical signal that they
need to go faster.
They will stop entirely.
Okay.
So there's like this communication between
interaction,
the user and in this case the horse lah. So the horse is also sensing and inferring from the rider. Like, what do you want from me? Like, what kind of service would you like? Do you want to go fast or do you want to go slow? Or do you want to stop? Yeah, so that's that rider horse example lor. Yeah.
Okay.
And then this rider horse metaphor is also being adopted by NASA as a guideline law for designing interactions with this autonomous vehicle. Actually, it's pretty cool, like to know that they put in that importance of designing good interaction between a human and a product. Because I guess it's a lot of high stakes also when you're in NASA.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the next section, sensors and actuators. So basically these are what makes interaction possible. Actuators means parts that help to make expression. It can be movements, lights or sound. Then the sensors is on top of the actuators and it makes interaction possible.
So I guess like in this case, the most simple example would be a light and a button.
Okay.
Yeah, so the button is the sensor. The sensor in the button is this click lah, that is either 1 or 0.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
Binary.
on or off lah. Once you press on the button, then it senses that it's going to 1. Then it conducts this electric current towards the light. And then the light will shine. So the light, in this case, the actuator. As a user, I get this feedback that, oh, okay, it's working. My light is working. Yeah. I guess maybe if we bring it to digital product design.
Yeah.
So recently I subscribed to the Kiasu Design Live YouTube channel.
Wow, nice transition.
Yeah. And then
Yeah, by the way, guys, we have a YouTube channel now.
Subscribe to us. We are thinking of having video content.
Yes,
Like, that's one of our plans lah. But basically, back to this, right? When I subscribe, then when I press on the button, like there's a bunch of hearts coming out from the subscribe button.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that to me is also like it's sensing my click from the cursor.
Okay.
And the quote unquote actuator is that the subscribe button changed to this disabled button that says subscribed. And then a bunch of like hearts flying out. Yeah, so that's basically in digital product design. Like how there's also this concept of sensor and actuators lah.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe we can dive a bit into the sensing part. There's actually 3 aspects to sensing that the author also brought up. Is touch, hearing, and sight. So the first is touch. Yes. We kind of touch, pun intended, we kind of touch upon it already, which is buttons. Yeah, buttons is a very simple example of touch.
So the author also mentioned about capacitive sensing, where it allows for multitude of gestures on smartphones.
It gives us more ways to explore interactions with our phones. Like you can either slide or you can double tap. Actually, I also remember like last time smartphone were resistive sensing. Do you still remember?
Oh, I didn't know. I mean, I forgot already.
Okay. Like, I remember when I got my first, it was a Sony Ericsson
phone.
That was when they were still exploring this whole touchscreen thing lah.
Okay.
Then they still have the numpad in the bottom, just that the screen on top is touchscreen. But it's not so advanced that it's capacitive where you can do all sorts of things. Yeah, so it's still resistive wherein like you have to push down the screen one.
Okay.
Basically, what I'm saying is when it was resistive sensing last time, right?
Yeah.
There's only pressing as the option. Like there's no gestures. Because it's very hard lah. It's just very hard for...
No, there's no such thing as swiping. All these don't have, right? Yeah. So I did a bit of research to compare between capacitive touchscreens and resistive touchscreens. So for capacitive, it's more ideal for mobile and consumer applications because there's increased durability and also they have a higher sensitivity to light touch. And they can show sharper images with better contrast. Yeah, so that's why it's like you were saying, the resistive one has maybe some form of sensors between the screen and the phone.
Yes.
But for capacitive, they have an air gap between the screen and the phone.
Oh.
Yeah, so you don't really have to press so hard, you see. You can just tap lightly, swipe lightly.
And that's how people butt call others also.
Oh, yeah, correct.
Thanks to capacitive sensing.
Yes. So for resistive touchscreen, it's better for industrial settings, like outdoors. So maybe, I don't know, gardening, for example. Yeah, so it's good for projects focused on cost efficiency or projects that need durability against dirt and water.
Oh, actually, do you remember in our first episode, you talked about the directory in shopping malls?
Yeah,
then you
correct.
say you need to force touch.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that may be...
A
some of them
resistive
may
touch.
be resistive also.
Makes sense. Oh, yeah, correct. Yeah, because it's outdoors.
Yeah, that's one example also lah.
Okay.
So we clear up the how touch can be one way a product can sense interactions. Yeah,
Yes.
and that is very, very related to UX design. Yeah. Alright, the other one is hearing. Yes. So the author actually introduced this product called the clapper. It was introduced in the 1980s. So it's a device that actually turns the application on and off with a single clap. Yes. I mean, it sounds a bit lame now, like that only. Yeah, but we need to remember it's 1980s that we are talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was considered very futuristic.
Imagine the technology then and now. Directional mics has become a lot more affordable.
Yes.
So that's why you have all these various types of home assistant devices. I recall the time when I first tried out Siri while my hands was busy doing a house chore.
Yeah.
And my phone was away, but I have my AirPods.
Yeah.
So I just said, "Hey Siri." Then when Siri responded back, I was like, "Can you call?" I cannot really remember what was it that I told her to do, but when she did it, I was so intrigued.
No problem, I won't.
Oh shit! I don't know if you guys can listen, but Siri is responding to me now. Okay, we didn't intend that. That was a bit like... It was a nice surprise, actually.
Nice crossover.
Yeah, because my phone was just nearby. And then when she started responding, I was like, I didn't call out for her. I was just talking about her.
That was damn funny. Okay. Anyway, so you commanded, you asked Siri to call someone.
Yes. I think called my husband back then. And then, the call went through and I was like quite excited.
Yeah, like, wow, I can do this hands-free now.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. It's almost like we are giving abilities to a product. Once this product can start hearing things around us because of how these components that makes it possible, it's more and more inexpensive now. Yeah, once they can hear us, like there's a lot more possibility for all this interaction to happen. So anyway, that's
move on to the
hearing,
next.
Hearing covered by us and Siri.
Yes. I'm trying not to say
Okay.
hi.
Okay.
First we covered on touch and then we covered on hearing. So the last sensor interaction is sight. For sight, there is this thing called the photocell, which is the most basic and inexpensive way we give products sight.
Yeah.
So you have something like solar powered lamps. So it turns on when it's dark outside.
Yeah.
Photocell, is it considered something new?
It's actually quite a basic component in industrial design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the way it captures motion or the way we give it the power of sight, right? How it can see lah, basically. Like when someone walk past, like they will block a bit of light.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how they know that there's movement.
So they can measure
in
the
that
value,
area.
maybe.
Correct.
Then they
Yes.
will know. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so basically that's how solar powered lamps are relying on, which is photocell. Like they are constantly measuring the light value. That's basically how photocell makes sensing of movement happen lah.
Okay.
Yeah. So other than photocell, now we also have the camera. It allows the product to have a more complex way of reading the environment.
And also, I think adding on to that, technology has also made it such that it's a lot more affordable for you to have cameras now rather than then.
So now we have these cameras in the products, right? It also allows the use of gesture to communicate with our products. Yeah.
Oh, one example would be just like how our phones recognize our face. Like for example,
Face
our
ID.
Face ID, SingPass, and then Like there was one time I was trying to use the Face ID, then I was biting on my lip, but then they couldn't recognize my face. Then I was thinking, I'm just biting on my lip, just a bit only. I had to reset my face.
Whenever I use Face ID, I always smile at my camera. I don't know why leh.
But when you first set it up, did you smile?
No. But when I don't know why, it's like when you're going through immigration, you want to look as decent, as not convicted as possible.
Oh, okay,
you know?
okay.
So I will just like smile at my phone. Like I only realized it when my friend told me. Like I was using Face ID, then my friend was like, "Why are you smiling? Why are you smiling?"
But when you smile, does it detect or not?
It detects.
Oh,
As in,
okay.
it's not like a full smile, but
Okay.
it's more of like just a slight smile.
Okay.
Yeah, Face ID is a good example to show that, basically for iPhones to see you.
Yeah. But then there's a cons to using cameras, because for camera it has to be turned on all the time. So imagine if it's something that needs to be turned on all the time, you have to factor in the battery usage, the resources required.
Yeah. So it's a bit high maintenance if you want to have camera inside.
Yes, you also have to factor in privacy issues that may come with camera monitoring.
Yeah, so
That's
that's
chapter
chapter 5. Want to take a break?
Yes.
Take a break.
Pass me water. Oh, this one is really longer than expected.
Passion fruit tea.
Moving on to chapter 6, designing context. Yes. So the author started the chapter by bringing up about a project she was working on, where they had to design a robot assistant called Moxie in the context of a hospital. I actually like the examples that she gives, because it seems to me like a hospital setting was a very busy setting with a lot of humans. That's where she used a robot.
And there's a lot of situations happening. Yeah, and that's where context is very important.
Yes. So she gave examples of how Moxie is contextually and socially intelligent.
So one example is how Moxie acknowledges others. Yeah, I like this part because she was saying that behind the scenes when designing the Moxie robot, they are actually debating when should the robot say hi there and when should the robot say excuse me. Yeah, so they are trying to, based on the distance between the person and the robot, like try to draw a line.
Yes.
Like saying, okay,
Where's the break point?
what? Oh my god.
If you want to link back to digital design, literally, right?
That's good.
What's the break point?
Yes. So is it like 1 meter? So more than 1 meter, you will just say hi. But if it's 1 meter, basically within
The radius.
the radius, then maybe it will just prompt a bit like saying excuse me, it's going somewhere, trying not to bump into the person. So I think this is really a good example because it gives a lot of context. Like it makes the robot way more intelligent. Previously we talked about interaction, right?
Yeah.
So you can put interaction in a robot. You can put presence, expression, and interaction of a robot.
Yeah.
But it still can look stupid. You know? Like with this tree, if Moxie doesn't have contextual awareness, like it will still stand at one side of the hospital and keep waving like hello. Hello.
Yeah,
then it's
yeah,
what is this stupid thing doing here,
Yeah, it's useless junk like that.
Yeah. So this is really the part where it was more eye-opening for me lah. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that's really how context makes a product way more smarter. So other than acknowledgement, she also talks about how Moxie can engage others. Yeah. So Moxie's head will actually pivot to the person that is listening to show you that it's engaged. It's really like how in real life when we talk, then when
You will turn your head.
speak.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's head turn and then they're all eyes on this person lah.
Yeah, to show that they are listening and they are engaging in that person's conversation. And the other one is communication of intent. While Moxie, it's still in the middle of a task. When someone wanted to interact with Moxie, then it will display a message saying that I'm currently in the middle of a task to explain why you cannot engage with it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is also it being very contextually aware. Because if someone never code this part, right, then it will just suddenly cut the task. Go and interact with the person.
Precisely.
Yeah, so wrapping all of this together, right, like it really makes Moxie way more immersive.
Actually, I've seen a version of a Moxie before. Recently, I ate at Seoul Garden. Seoul Garden hot pot. It's a buffet style, so you can go around and then take the different ingredients that you want to cook at your table.
Yes.
But if you want to get the more premium one, you have to use the iPad to choose.
Oh, okay.
And then, so what happens is usually they will get someone to send over the ingredients to you. So recently I saw that they included robots inside.
So robot serving you.
Yes, this robot actually came with those items.
Okay.
And then once it reaches my table, it makes this very cute announcing music like, I'm here, your order is here. Like So when I move away from my table to take the other more regular items,
yes,
I actually accidentally blocked one of the robot's path.
Okay.
So what the robot did was, suddenly the robot stopped and gave me this sad face.
No.
My pathway is obstructed. Please let me go. Something like that, for example. Yeah. Then I was like, oh, okay. Then
You say okay to the robot.
I said, oh, sorry. Okay. Then I move away. Then suddenly it lights up and then it has a smiley face. Then it proceeded with its journey.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it would roll its eyes and say like, human beings.
Cannot lah. Has to be polite.
Yeah. So it's also the robot being very aware.
Yes,
and
correct.
then showing very relevant messages to
Yes.
you lah. To the extent that you even reply to the robot or you react to the robot.
That's the thing.
Yeah, so I think like the Moxie example, the Seoul Garden example, I've seen some of these robots in other places like Ding Tai Fung,
Oh yeah, Ding Tai Fung, I say.
Tim Ho Wan also, like all these places, right? So having them being smart, right, is not just having the ability to interact and express itself. They are important, right? But knowing when, where, for whom, and how is actually key to making people feel like understood and more comfortable living with these robots lah.
Yeah. It's really quite natural to us humans. So we intuitively take into account enormous amount of contextual info about what's going on around us.
Sometimes you just say, I don't know leh, but it just feels very off. But what is the I don't know leh? You know, like this gives us more of like a structured way to help break down that whole scenario. Like, is it when, the timing, or is it just how it's being expressed? Yeah. She also brought up some example. Like, let's say we go to someone's house to eat. We will only sit when a host says that, okay, let's eat together. Yeah. And then when we are talking in a group, most of us will give a chance to the shy person to also talk. You also know that it's sensitive to leave early, knowing that everyone and the host has like work tomorrow. Yeah, so all these are just social intelligence law. Like you kind of know. So the author spoke about how humans are socially intelligent, but she also mapped it to how a product can also have this hard and complex social intelligence defined in simple programming terms. Yeah. So she gave an example of a chandelier. So what if a chandelier is socially aware? What if it actually knows the size of your guest list? Then it decides to light a few more lights, knowing that, you know, there's more people coming in. Yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, correct. I like the example where she mentions about like having a bright light and then it gradually shifts to a more relaxed, warm orange light as the evening gets darker. So it's like inviting you to sleep. I guess.
Yeah, like
to wind down, basically.
To wind down, yeah. I also like that how she brings up that context, right, is broader than just the weather, the time of day, but it's more holistic in a sense that it can be, let's say you're watching a movie alone. That is a strong context. Or let's say we go to a weekend breakfast together in town. Yeah, so that is also a much richer context than just breakfast outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
She broke down the context in more broader areas. So the first is on who, followed by where, when, and what. Starting out with who, basically, who is this product for? Is it for personal use, shared use? Will it be used in a public space or is it a private space? So understanding the person that we're going to design for, their motivations and their state of mind is very crucial because it informs the context which a product is used. So for example, if you want to have it in a private setting, you wouldn't want it to blast out to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a shared setting, in a public setting.
Right.
A difference that she gave in her book, public versus private. For example, if a health conscious person wants to know their heart rate but don't want others to know her heart rate is elevated, so that is like a private information in that context.
Right. Okay. So other than public, private, we also have personal and shared. So one example that she mentioned was, let's say, a conference phone system. Will actually tilt to spotlight on the person speaking for their best angle. Yeah. So basically, this is illustrating how a product knowing that this is a chat between a group of people. So that's also it being smart about who it's serving lah. So other than who,
now we
there's
have
where. Let's say your location, your culture of the location. Yeah.
Location, basically it has a role in informing the social context of an interaction, because location specific context may cause interaction to differ. For example, if the location is in a formal setting, or maybe the location is at home. Yeah, so maybe at home it's a bit more casual, the product can interact in openly, but maybe in a more serious setting, he has to be mindful. If in terms of culture, it's considered to determine the interface elements, so especially for example all the cultural nuances like the language and the color. Would you think they have to be mindful of slang?
I guess yes, like maybe slang lingos. Not only be mindful, but maybe can also tap on it. Like Singaporean apps, they like to be more whimsical about their copywriting. Like, what
correct.
You just got $88, you know? Like this
kind. Okay.
Yeah, but this does not make sense in, let's say, a European country.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Like, what is that? What is what?
Is it a spelling typo error?
Yeah, but I think I like this part because it goes back to our work also. Like, a lot of products, they have localization teams.
Yes.
Yeah, and localization teams, they not only care about your translation of the content. It's not just that. It's also the cultural awareness.
Like how sensitive you are to the different racial norms.
Correct. Yeah, that's bringing back to product design.
Yeah. So the next part is about when, in terms of under context. So timelines and timing. The author mentioned about adjusting to a person's timeline and making certain nighttime notifications less intrusive than daytime ones. So I'm sure if you guys who do have a smartwatch, you will have notifications that will come up to you more often in the day. Depends on your smartwatch, but I just know that Apple Watch, they have the bedtime mode, something like that. Yeah,
to help you to ease into your sleep lah.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I like how the author brings out both short-term and long-term timelines. So the ones you're saying just now, like the nighttime, daytime is more short-term timeline.
Yeah.
Then the other one is also more long-term, which she brings in the example of a Nito floor cleaning robot. So I actually have this Nito
you
robot.
have?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I relate to this a lot. Yeah. So at the beginning, right, of the use, then Nito can be more of like this close assistant to help you get familiarized with itself. Yeah, so
Okay.
it will be in like this tutorial mode lah. Yeah, then after long-term use, right, let's say that after you use it like 3 months, you know, then you will start to suggest the advanced features. So this is all in the app.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Yeah, so you will say like, okay, you have been doing this basic cleaning around the house. Do you want me to conditionally clean certain house at certain timings?
Wow.
Yeah, something like that. So it's more like a level up of your usage lah.
It's like a very extended onboarding.
Yeah. So actually this one reminds me of our work also. Like we also usually do that, right? So at the beginning of the product, like we will have this onboarding, close companionship with the users.
Yeah.
To help them
Like
get
start
onboarded.
here, something like that.
Yeah. Then we will also design some like nudges, right, to help them
Get used
discover
to it.
more. Get used to it. After that, then discover more advanced features. Like, do you want to explore this new feature that we have built that we think will help you in your workflow? I think timeline really has a lot to consider as well. Cool. So that's when a product can be contextually aware.
Yes. So next, the last one is basically what. What covers on the changes in activity that a product may detect. For example, the activity taking place when a person is using a product changes when it's based on the user needs. So the interaction also has to adjust. So for example, that the author gave is like Google Watch. So at rest, it may display the time, but the Google Watch is also able to detect if you are driving, then they will turn into a turn-by-turn directions on the watch face.
Yeah. So basically, it's back to the core of a watch. which is showing a time.
So lastly, the author pointed out that enactment and scenario sketching is really helpful to gather information of a context. Just like a storyboarding.
Yeah.
So for example, if you have a certain scenario that you want to envision how the product is used, make use of storyboarding to show, okay, product is in this position and this is their surrounding.
Yes.
What happens in this frame? What happens in the second frame?
Yeah.
I think it's storyboarding is useful because you can showcase a simulation of what can happen and you can get everyone on board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I can bring an example. So in one of the previous product that we do, so we are building an interface for inventory management. So
Okay.
basically, like when you're in a warehouse, like how do you help them out with keying in the supplies that they get? Yeah. So at first we design in Figma and stuff lah. So
Yeah.
you don't see anything other than your interface.
Ah.
Yeah, but then after that we kind of plonk it in. So we just went to Google and put a picture of someone in the warehouse. So the warehouse has a lot of boxes. Then I have someone like just shifting all these boxes.
Yeah.
Then we put a monitor. Then we put our interface there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that puts us in the scenario. So like make us think like this is how it will show up in the warehouse lah, which is closer to reality than just designing in Figma. And then actually make us realize that, okay, I think our interface is creating even more clutter in the already noisy warehouse.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's a good observation.
Yeah, so that's a way to kind of like storyboard without drawing. You know?
Okay.
Alright.
So that wraps up our chapter 5 and 6.
6.
Yeah. So any thoughts after reading chapter 5 and 6?
Honestly, it is clearer
I agree.
and easier to follow.
Yep.
Yeah, but I guess like after you keep going with every chapter, you just get even more
Clearer.
understanding.
Yeah.
Of it. How about you?
I find chapter 5, when I first read it, I thought the chapter was quite long. But then as I read it, then I realized, oh, actually it's long for a reason. Because they have examples, stories, and it was really useful. Then chapter 6 was like, so short. Yeah. In terms of understanding, chapter 6 was a lot more easier to understand very fast. Because it's talking about context.
Yeah.
Overall, after reading, I sort of get it. And I especially like the part where she conveyed the different research methods that's familiar for us product designers, and also introduced like the Wizard of Oz that I've never heard before. Yeah. What I really like is the author interlaced within her examples a good storytelling to get the point across. She basically taps on her own memories lah, her own experiences.
I realize she likes to paint scenarios.
Yeah,
So
correct.
it's easier for you to think of how to apply it. It's not just like plonking you with a lot of this theoretical stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I really like that as well. And I like how we also bring our own experience as product designers.
Yes,
Like link it back to our profession lah. Yeah.
Hope this time will be a lot better for you guys.
Yes, we take in feedback and we do iterate on it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, on the fly. Okay.
Okay, cool. So thank you for listening to
Chapter 5 and
chapter
6.
5 and 6. Yes. And the next one will be wrapping up this whole book. And we are
Yes.
done with
Correct.
one book. Okay, so thank you. If you're listening to this episode, we also like to thank you for your support. Yeah, and if you also borrowed the book and you're reading along with us, we are also really, really
Grateful for their
appreciative.
effort. Yes, correct.
Yeah, to support our new concept. Yeah, do give us more feedback.
Yes.
Yeah, as
Feel
we
free to
continue.
DM either of us, either on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Okay, so that's all for now. Tune in again for our next episode.
Yes, thank you so much, and
Bye.